Welcome to the Quit Eating Animals Show, episode 28. Today, we're going to get a little bit into Easter. I'm going to respond to some comments, and we're going to watch some video about mutton and sheep. Considering Easter, a lot of people spend some time with families and eating traditional Easter dinners, eating lamb. And we're going to go talk a little bit about Easter and where that dish or where that tradition comes from and why people eat lamb or choose to eat lamb on Easter. And we're going to get into it. So let's look at behind me, a little bit of lamb. And again, trying to get you to connect back with the animals that we're eating. I don't think that we do this. So you come across this video and this channel. This is all about showing videos and talking about, looking at how we can look at animals a little bit differently, look at what we're eating and kind of put ourselves in their shoes. And that's what we're trying to do here. So let's get right into the video. Here it is. Let's look at some of the processes. And when we watch this, I want to talk about the individual animals that we're referring to. And each one is an individual. And so they're preparing. Look at them all. Look at how many. And then now if they're getting loaded onto the slaughter truck. Off they go. This is what I wanted to get into. This is the stunning system by the leader sheep. They're led to the stunning system. The term stunning, look at refers to instantaneous conversion of the animal to an unconscious state. After stunning, death occurs in an unconscious state due to the bleeding process. So I imagine the blade or something gets slit across the throat after they get stunned. It said the humane animal treatment is the top priority in proper stunning procedure. I find this, and look, in a single line, we're looking at individuals hanging and getting slaughtered. These people checking. Lifted by their legs. The front legs are put in shackles. This is called a New Zealand inverted chain, pelt removal and dressing procedures designed for food safety. Look, the bodies get completely ripped apart. This is pretty awful. We're really going to watch all this. Let's get rid of that. But what is Easter? So the real reason people eat this stuff for Easter, traditional Easter dinner, a leg of lamb, complete with some kind of meat. Roast, glazed hams, and lamb have all graced our tables for years, have established themselves as food we associate with Easter. However, you ever wonder why these foods have such a prominent role in the festivities? And it stems back to celebrating Lent and the need to give up certain foods. Lamb, the oldest meat dish associated with Easter, stems back to pre-Christian times and laid the foundation for our future menus. The consumption of the original roast of lamb stems back to the first Passover Seder with spice combinations and flavors varying based on where you eat this meal. Lamb entered the traditional Passover menu thanks to the biblical story found in the book of Exodus, where Jews in ancient in Egypt had to smear lamb's blood on the doorposts to avoid a plague of God. When early Jews who celebrated Passover by eating lamb to mark this occasion converted to Christianity, they took this meal with them to celebrate Easter. The association of Jesus as the Lamb of God also may have helped tie the consumption of this meat to Easter. Furthermore, lamb's availability as the accessible meat after winter months with no livestock to slaughter would also encourage our ancestors to serve up a few lamb of legs to celebrate. This says the significance of serving up lamb as a nod to early Jewish religious observance differs based on who you ask. Jews historically did not eat lamb at Passover and see consuming this meat as equivalent to eating a sacrifice for God. Instead of violating this taboo, this religious group might celebrate with brisket in place of lamb. On the other hand, Sephardic Jews who settled further westward are allowed to eat lamb at Passover as they see the day as a reenactment of the events of the original Passover. But while this group can eat lamb during the celebration, they can't roast a whole lamb due to a religious tenet. Okay, this is another page here. Why is it tradition to eat lamb at Easter? It happens to fall on around, it's not lambing season. We eat lamb because it's in season, then why do we eat it? Well, it's twofold. It says Jesus is often referred to as the Lamb of God because John the Baptist referred to Jesus such in the Gospel of John. The eating of lamb not only represents the person we are commemorating, but also the sacrifice he made. He also said the second reason we made lamb at Easter is long-standing and a little more gruesome. Lamb has been the traditional meat to eat since the times of Christ, especially for celebrations. This is likely to be due to lamb being a traditional sacrificial creature since ancient times. That there are mentions of lamb being used in sacrificial ceremonies by ancient Egyptians. The concept of sacrifice using lambs is even mentioned in the Old Testament. So Christians don't practice sacrifice in this manner any longer. Still, we have built our current traditions upon the customs and traditions that predate modern history. As such, ancient symbolism is still very much a part of our traditional celebrations. Easter is one of those, and so we use lamb as a representation of the sacrifice Jesus has made. Now, going back here. So, let's see. Tradition. The transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on in this way. This is exactly the traditions that have been passed on, and Easter is one of them. If you are eating lamb or these meat dishes on Easter, this is from tradition. This is the way your parents brought you up. This is what you remember doing. This is the way their parents brought them up. This is what they're doing. So it's just been passed on to passed on and passed on. So depending on where you're brought up, tradition and culture all shape what we eat, especially around these holidays, and how we feel when we do that. So when we go vegan or we choose to give up these animals and look at it differently, can we do this? We certainly can. We can just choose to replace a plant-based version instead of the actual lamb or the pig or the chicken or turkey or whatever animal that we are sacrificing in lieu of the holiday that we're supposed to be celebrating, or that we are celebrating. All right. This is a good video that I want to bring up, and it's called, this is the Food Matrix. Certainly recommend it. But this really talks about how it's been passed on, and you know, as children, this is exactly why we are eating the way we are. This is why we think the way we think.
They are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what do we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instinct. Just imagine as a child you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition. And what we have to remember is that just because we have a tradition doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. Tradition and morality are not always the same. I mean, can you think of any traditions that we once had in the United States of America that we no longer have? That today we think back and that was immoral? Slavery, right? Less than 200 years ago. And that was a tradition. So the traditions we have today doesn't necessarily mean they're morally acceptable. And as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions. Now,
so he said, as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions. And that's important. And because we are evolving as a culture, we are obtaining more of this information. We are looking at these videos, these real life videos that people are sharing, which is only solidifying what we're thinking to be true. What we know to be true is now true, in fact true, because we watch these videos of these animals being slaughtered and people talking about it. And so this is the story that we're telling ourselves. And I think it's very important to talk about and to realize that these traditions don't have to be kept. They can evolve. And when we know that we no longer have to actually sacrifice or kill an animal in order for us to celebrate or have a food, we don't need to do that. In fact, Thanksgiving is just one that really, it hits home literally because of, we're giving thanks. We are so thankful that we have this dead animal on our table, and we don't need to be sacrificing any animal, and especially lamb. The sacrifice or the Lamb of God certainly isn't what he intended. And this is going to go right into some of the comments that we want to talk about. So, new replies here. I ate the best chicken last night. Okay. So, Messy Fan. What's up, Messy Fan? I asked where it's from. He goes, my mom made it with a rub, I think. I said, see if you can find out what type of farm. Because what I want to talk, or what I want to show people is that, where are we getting our animals from? Okay. So you eat animals, so a lot of us say that we eat grass fed and we, this hormone free, and, you have this vision in our head of what these animals are, their lives are before they get slaughtered, or what we tend to think about. And so this is just marketing. This is exactly just marketing. And so, I want people to go into, find out where your animals are from and see if you're happy with, the way that they're treated, and actually, but I think what you'll find is that it's nearly impossible to dictate where every single animal comes from. You go out to a restaurant, how do you really know? If you buy something, how do you really know? How do you really know, where these animals come from, and look and what's around you, do the research, but find it out. And so Messy Fan goes this way. He says, I don't freaking care. God made animals for food. So this is where, go back to, did God make animals for food? And I'm going to get more involved, I'm going to do some more research into this, because I know Jace is into this, and there's a couple books that I've got that we were going to go through. And I think Easter is certainly one of the holidays that I would think that expect to be in this book that we can talk about. And what I want to do is put together a little video for tomorrow about it, spend, a short video talking and explaining, and just kind of one of the things, or some of the things that I found doing a little research about Easter, about Passover, where, some of the things I talked about briefly today, just do a real short clip, more informative. And I think that would bring some value, especially for me and others that don't know much about Easter and really haven't thought about the animals or the lamb that we eat on Easter, and what that really means to other people. And if you ask why people eat lamb on Thanksgiving or on Easter, I think you'll have different answers depending on who you ask and where they're from. He said, I don't freaking care. God made animals for food. So I just have a hard time believing any God made animals for food. The sacrifice is one thing, even if it talks about sacrifice and this isn't a mass production line. This is no way any God intended or wants this to happen or thinks that this is a good thing. In fact, says that thou shalt not kill, and to eat animals for food, we have to kill them. So you just kind of can't have one without the other. So why choose to kill animals when we can choose to kill plants instead? Solistic Train, I get a steak if I score. I ask why you think it's called a steak. Messi fan jumps in. He says, I'm too poor. This is essentially trolling. Again, I ate animals for over 30 years. This isn't, I've done it. And we still can choose to. We choose not to. I also go hunting. I ask, how many animals have you killed? He says, enough. Why? I guess then you can stop, right? Let's respond. Then you can stop. If he's already killed enough, then you can stop, no? Lime is a bean. I think he needs a bacon burger. I said, why do you think that? He says he looks too skinny. What do you mean by skinny? Skinny. What's your definition of skinny? Skinny. No, woman. All right. More comments. I think there's the kill clock. All right, well, let me scroll down anymore here. All right, here we go. Here's some more. He doesn't eat meat, but he also plays in league goalkeepers. No, this is where the Jace's goal. He scores. Didn't even move, though. Grace Shirley. Let's talk about Grace. Grace says this. Let's put this on the top here. So this is Grace. Grace. Nobody cares that he is vegan. God put animals on earth to eat. Unless you have an allergy, you should eat meat. Here's my response. Do you think the animals care if he doesn't eat them? She said no one cares that he is vegan. Well, I think the animals would care if he's not eating them. I have a hard time believing any God would want us to cause suffering, pain, and killing of others, especially if we didn't have to. And this is going to be my response. I think this sums it up, right? I think if you think that God put animals on earth to eat, there is no way any God, no matter what religion that you have or believe in or whatever, there is no way any God would put animals or others on this earth to want and think it's a good thing to cause pain and suffering and killing if it was unnecessary. And again, unnecessary. So that eliminates any response from, well, what about lions? Try to convince lions to, be nice to others. Well, they need to do it for survival. Like, they need to do it. They kill, they claws. It's all natural for them. We do not have to. We can choose to kill and eat plants. So there's that. I ate the best chicken last night. There's the Messi fan again. All right. Bob Hobb, I think this was a good one. In a world of vegans, a weak man, he might be all right. So I said, do you think the strength of humans matters when we talk about killing animals for food? Bob Hobb, yes, the animals don't know what is happening. They don't have the ability to meta-analyze their reality, and death is painless for the most part. 2, even if the electrical impulses make it look otherwise. So he's referring to after you kill an animal, they twitch and they move, and that's just the nerve, and so doesn't cause pain for them. Okay, and death is painless for the most part. Same mechanisms taking place as when humans get stabbed or shot and don't even realize that it happened a lot of the time till after the situation. So my response, I said, what do you think goes through the animal's mind when they head to the slaughterhouse? So this is when, you say that they don't know what's happening. They absolutely do. They absolutely know that is a new situation, that is a new environment. They smell the blood. They hear, they have minds, they have ears, they have eyes. What would you do? You can sense the same thing. And just like if you were put in that situation, I think you would sense some of these things and you would have a bad or a gut feeling that something was not good. So you can understand why these animals are scared. You can understand why they're stressed. What goes through their mind? The same thing that would go through your mind. So they absolutely know what's happening. They don't have the ability to meta-analyze their reality. That's absurd to think that we are the only people that can meta-analyze our reality or think that. Now, we know that they can suffer. We know that they can cause pain, or we know that they can feel pain. So if that's true, and you know that to be true, like, we definitely have the obligation to choose not to cause pain and suffering. Why wouldn't we? That should be the default option, unless we absolutely necessarily have to, and we don't. So shouldn't that be the default? I think so. What do you think goes through the animal's head? Bob says, why care? Even humans have stressful situations sometimes. They don't have a sense of impending doom. They're just stressed because it's a new environment. Same kind of stress as when you move to a new state. Well, Bob Ho, if we move to a new state, we don't all of a sudden then get slaughtered and stabbed and killed for food. That's not what happens when we move state. We still get to live. We still have our freedom, even though we might be stressed out, right? We're not dying. So that just doesn't make sense. I'd rather be stressed out and not die than stressed out and then die. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So why even care? Because again, these are others. I think it's natural to care. It's natural even for other animals. When you see other animals in pain or suffering, like, they go and help, just like you would. If you see other innocent, dogs, or a dog lying there, we walk across the street and you see an injured dog or even a bird, you would likely go down and see if that animal is okay, because we care. We have empathy. We care. We don't want others to have pain and suffering and be killed. And we don't want to see that. We certainly don't want to be a part of that if we don't have to, right? And so none of us have to. So Bob hasn't got me back to me. He said, I said, you don't have to care. However, you'd want to cause or pain or harm. You want to contribute to putting others in that situation. I can't imagine that would make you feel good, right? That does not make you feel good. When asked and when confronted, knowing that your money is then going to and then contributing to the death and suffering of other animals, that can't feel good for you. So, you have options. You can continue to do so. You can say and try to justify it. There's so many things that you can do and that you have to do, that you absolutely have to do once confronted, and say your money is contributing to the death and violence and killing of animals, right? So now you have to respond. Now let's say the ball's in your court. You can change. You can turn it off. You can not ask. You can You can do whatever. You have to do something, though. And, some people act different ways. And that's perfectly fine. My hope is to inspire all of you to quit eating animals. That's it. That is it. Let's see. I think that's all I got. That's all I got for episode 28. I don't know how long we've been going here, but I think this is good. This has been a great episode. Episode 28. We've been going live every single day in April. We continue to do so, and that won't change. So, that's all I got. Now, I can't leave you without this.
Quit eating animals.
All right, appreciate you. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We're going to be back tomorrow. Look at this, 276 subscribers. So appreciate all of you subscribing. We're going up slowly. Our first goal, this next goal is to get to 300. We're taking a little increments of hundreds all the way to 1,000, and we're going to see how long we take to get there. But we're having fun doing it. We hope we're bringing some value. We're learning some new things as well. Let me know what you want to see in the comments, or if you want to make me a video, or if you want me to make a video about something or a topic. And I would love to do so. I also want to get someone on the podcast or a show, and we can phone call, but I really want to do video. I have not gotten the software to do that yet, but we are in the works. So again, appreciate you watching for this long, and we will see you tomorrow live. Not sure what time for episode 28. And until then, have a great, fantastic night, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.